Salam to all of my dear subscribers and viewers. Welcome to lesson number 13 and the last lesson on how to read in Arabic. In today's video, we are going to cover the following. Objective 1, we are going to study about the letter Fa and Qaf, how to read and write it right. After studying about the letter Fa and Qaf, we are then going to move on to Hamza. Hamza, how to read and write it. Also, how to know when to write a Hamza and when not to write it on a given long vowel. Without further ado, let's get into how to write the letter Fa and Qaf. Let's start with how to write the letter Fa and Qaf. Fa and Qaf are considered to be connected letters, so you are gonna write it like this in the beginning form, like this in the middle form, and like that in the ending form. It would get connected. Let's practice by giving you some examples, random words using the letter Fa and Qaf. Our first word is this, فندق. فندق means a hotel. Next, لفظ. لفظ means pronunciation. Love. Next, خروف. خروف means sheep. خروف. Now the letter Qaf. قلب means heart. Next, إفريقيا means Africa. إفريقيا. And the last word, صديق means friend. صديق. And that was the end of our alphabets reading and writing journey. We've now able to read anything in Arabic. My part is all done. Now it's your part to train and practice by yourself reading. If you still find yourself not able, then I recommend you to rewatch the 13 videos over again. So for now, we are going to move to our third objective, which is learn about the Hamza. Hamza is considered to be a letter that's barely found on its own. You can find it in the beginning, middle, and in the end of a word. When it appears in the beginning of the word, it would always be riding on an alif. Middle, it would always and only ride on the long vowels, which are alif, مد الألف, مد الواو, and مد الياء. Alif, waw, ya. And sometimes you would see it appearing on its own, but that's rare. Same goes with the ending. It would ride on an alif, waw, and ya. Sometimes, not very common, you would see it written on its own. For example, this word, أكتب. أكتب means I am writing. أكتب. As you can see, it is located in the beginning of the word, but riding on an alif. Second word, مئة. مئة means 100. As you can see, it is in the middle of the word, but riding on a ya. This is called a ya without a dot. And as an example to see a hamza on its own, located in the middle of a word, is this word, قراءة. قراءة means reading. You can see that the hamza is alone, but located in the middle of a word. Let me give you some extra examples for the end of the word, how hamza is gonna appear. For example, if it ends with the letter alif, such as this word, قرأ means read, but like in the past tense, you would say that it is again riding on top of an alif. And for waw, such as this example, لؤلؤ, which means a pearl, on a waw, you are gonna write it on top of it. And for a ya, such as this word, خطيئة means sin, you are going to write it like a ya, but without a dot, and add a hamza on top. And the last example, when you see a hamza written on its own, such as this word, سماء, it means the sky, you are going to write it like this, as if like it is a letter. The question is how to determine which of the three letters waw, alif, or ya would act as a carrier for a hamza in a given word. There are rules for that, of course. They aren't complicated, but it's not for your level. For your level, I would only suggest you to recognize a hamza when you see it. For instance, there is only one rule made when the hamza is in the beginning of a word. When a hamza appears in the beginning of a word, you would always write it or an alif, such as the word anta or anti. Since there is not a scale on it, the hamza would always be on top of an alif. But if it appears in the middle of a word, there are 8 rules you must know. Rule number 1. If you see a hamza has a vowel on it, the fatha vowel only, then you gonna add it or make it be carried on top of an alif, such as this word ma'ala. Ma'ala means capital, the capital which you wanna start a business with. Rule number 2 is when the hamza has a sukoon on it and the letter that was before it has a fatha, then again you are going to write it on an alif, such as this word fa'r, which means a mouse. Rule number 3, when you see a hamza has a dhamma on it, such as the word mas'uliyah, means responsibility, you are gonna add a waw as a to become its carrier. Mas'uliyah. Rule number 4, when you see a hamza has either a sukoon or a fatha and the letter that was before it, I know I've already told you rule number 1. If you see a hamza that has a fatha, straightforward, you're gonna write an alif, write it on an alif. But if you see the letter before it has a dhamma, then you will write it on a waw, such as mu'min. Mu'min means a believer. Mu'min, there is a dhamma on a meme, that's why it's gonna be carried on a waw, the hamza. Rule number 5, if you see a hamza has a kasra on it, then you are gonna write it in a ya form on top of a ya, such as ra'is. Ra'is means a president. But when you see a hamza has a sukoon and the letter before it had a kasra, such as the word bi'r, you are again gonna write it in the ya form. Bi'r means well. Rule number 7, when a hamza has a ya before or after it, then you are gonna write it under the ya form, such as bi'atun. Bi'atun means environment, and always gonna be written as a ya form, hamza on top of a ya. The ya would be acting as a carrier. Last rule, when you see a hamza has a fatha and before it has a long vowel including mad al-alif or mad al-waw only, you are gonna write it alone, such as qira'a. Qira'atun means reading. That was everything you need to know for hamza when it is located in the middle position. The final position has 5 rules, not difficult, but again you must know them. Rule number 1, when you see a hamza has a fatha and the end of the word, you will write it on an alif, such as the word khata. Khata means wrong. There is a fatha on hamza, so alif would act as its carrier. Rule number 2, when the letter before hamza has a dhamma before it, such as lu'lu', you are gonna write it on a waw. Waw would be the carrier for hamza. Same goes with rule number 3. When the letter before it has a kasra, you are gonna write it under a ya form on top of a hamza. For example, the word dafi. Dafi means worm. Rule number 4. When the letter before hamza has a sukoon, you will write it again on a ya, such as shay. Shay means something. Shay. And finally, when the letter before Hamza has a long vowel such as ad, alif, waw, and ya, then you will write it on its own, such as sama, which means sky, hudu, which means silent. As you may have realized, the waw is not acting as a carrier because the waw has a sukun on it, top of it, not a dhamme. If a dhamme, then you are gonna act the waw as a carrier, but for this word it is a sukun, so no, the hamza would be on its own. And bari means innocent, the hamza would be on its own since there is a long vowel came before it. Like in general, if you see a sukun on a long vowel, then definitely you're gonna throw the hamza alone. That's it. We are done for not just today's video, but all the videos on how to read in Arabic. I'm sure now you will be able to at least read any word in Arabic by your own. I know you all want to learn how to read and understand Arabic. Yes, I did cover how to read Arabic, but soon with time you will be able to understand Arabic if you just keep watching my video. I do make conversations video and vocabulary. At least I could say part 1 is complete. I recommend you to rewatch this video again. Hamza is kind of not tough, but you have to practice it more and more to understand it better. And if you still think by now you aren't comfortable about yourself in reading alone, then I recommend you to rewatch the playlist again to get a clear understanding about the concept. Thank you for watching. Before you leave, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done that already, and join the Yalla Arabi family. Ring the bell to be notified for any new videos I will be posting in future. Leave a comment for any suggestions or questions. As soon as I read them, I will reply. Thanks a lot. See you in the next video. Bye. مع السلامة.